Hi everyone, so in today's lesson we're going to be talking about HTML elements. Last time in our last lesson, in my previous video, I showed you guys how to write your first code in HTML, which includes everything on the screen. So if you missed it, you can check it out, as this channel is for beginners and teaching people who are total beginners. So today we're talking about HTML elements. What are HTML elements? HTML elements are tags which are used to display contents on the web. And in displaying content on the web, we need a sense of semantics. What is semantics? Semantics give meaning to the web page. So I don't want to overwhelm you guys. Let's dive into it. First off, whenever you're writing your element, we have the element name. Yeah. So we have the element name, the opening tag, and the closing tag. In this case, this is the opening tag, and this is the closing tag. And we also have what we call content. So most of the tags or elements follows this principle in writing your HTML code, and you get to see that pretty much. If you can take an example, our head tag right here, this is the opening tag, just having these two chevron left and right pointing opposite each other. We also have element that doesn't have content. We call those tags or elements empty elements. The reason why I'm saying tags or elements is that it can be called tags and it can also be called elements. So let's start. The first thing I want us to talk about is our h1 element. In our h1 simply means header element. Simply means header element, which is used to write our header. So let's take this scenario whereby you have a book, and if you get a book, the first thing you're going to see is probably the title, also known as the header. So let's say you have a storybook and the title of the storybook is, a cute pet or whatever. So the title of the storybook is a cute pet. Writing that in the context of a web, you have to use your header tag. So I'll open up our browser to make things more exciting. You just have to right click and open with Live Server. Also, we did all this in the last class, how to open your web page on the browser. So if you missed out on it, do well to go back and check it. So we've opened our browser. So here we have a cute pet on our browser. One thing to note about header is that they are in order of hierarchy, and it's from H1 to H6. H1 denotes the highest hierarchy. We have H1 to H6. So let's keep on typing. Well, I'll probably just replicate. So we've written our header element from H1 to H6, and something significant in our web browser is that our H1 is the largest, is in order of hierarchy, and is from the largest to the smallest. So I'll tell you guys a story. When I started web development, I was so confused, and it was counterintuitive to me that, you know, I thought 6 is like the largest number, then why would H6 be the most irrelevant? And I don't know how you guys view this, but this is how it is. Just see it as the order of hierarchy from the first one, which is the most important. So our H1 is used to give our header in our web page, while the H2 can be the subheader. And something to note, H1 is only used most times once in a page in terms of giving your page semantics. Another thing I want us to talk about is the article element. So the article element is used to write code on things you want to display on the web that can stand alone, more like, you know, blog post or giving summary about something. So I will write a code about an article so that we can understand better. In this code, we're just going to use our H1, then we use our P tag too. Okay, we've used another element too, which is the P element, and this is used to put in a paragraph on the web page. So we're going to write a paragraph. I just want to see, you know, what this page is all about. It's about learn so we've given it a P tag, and it could stand alone on its own because it's self-explanatory in the sense that it's talking about learning web development, and it's saying learn web development on beginners dev channel. So supposedly, you know, the channel, I've already given you an hint of where you can learn web development. So it's a standalone content which makes sense on its own. If I've written something more long in terms of, okay, just to make it more clear, just do something like this so you could understand. So what I just did there was more like cloning it. So I don't know, you might probably just copy and paste it down again. So what I'm going to say is now there is something like that. And I'm just going to explain what a now is. A now so this is it. It's an article, and you could see it's self-explanatory in the sense that if someone should see this, the person can see that writing about a now, and we are giving the definition of a noun. A noun is the name of a person, animal, place, or thing. So it makes sense on its own, and that's why it is in an article element. So let's talk about, what we call anchor tag, which is just denoted by A. So an anchor tag have an attribute. Now we can see some behaviors. Speaking of attributes, attributes are in between the opening tags, and these are used to add more meaning to our elements. They can also be used to style our element. They could be used to specify what type of element the element is, and there are a lot you can carry out on your attributes. So for this attribute, we have an href, which is hypertext reference. This is used to link your page to, probably you want to put a link to another website. Maybe you want to put a link to a Google Map location service. You could put a link to anything actually. So we're just going to write something basic. Honestly, I never wanted to use an external source, but I want this to be more lively. So just going to search on Google Map. I copied the link to Google Map and I pasted it right in my hypertext reference, which is, this is it. So if I navigate to my web page, which we are creating, and I click on it, it's going to take me to Google Map. So it's used to navigate to another page, and you can also navigate within your page. And I will show you a context whereby this is very important. You just have to exit this and continue. And take note, everything you're writing must be inside your body tag. Your body tag is a kind of tag that you can write other tags in it. It has a name for it, but I'll tell you guys later. So your body tags, you can write other tags in it, just like your HTML tags. So, and also like your head tags, where you can write other tags in it. I'll show you a couple of tags where you can write other tags in them. So for now, let's head over to what's next. So we are going to use this anchor tag to link the page we are currently on, or the file we are currently on, which is elements.html. And I told you guys about naming in the last lectures. I'm sorry, I'm just referencing everything I told you guys, but I just want to keep it stick in your head that I told you guys. So we're going to create another new file, and we're going to name it something basic, maybe home.html. So we have a new file right here, and we're just going to link it using our anchor tag. So we're going to use A, and click on enter. All we need to do is to copy our file and paste it. So just write, you could write home actually. So I'm just going to click on home. So it's going to take us on that page. If you can see right on your tab, you're going to see home.html. So we navigated into an empty page because we didn't write anything on our home.html. So it links us to our home.html. And this is mostly used in sidebars, whereby you can navigate from one place of the page to another. That brings us to an element called navigation, or the nav element. So the nav element is used to put in other elements that when a user clicks, user can be able to navigate to another page. So, and this is done using our anchor tag, just like we said earlier. So we're just going to name our anchor tag different names. We can just give them different, like let's say we are building a website and we are naming them, we're giving them different names. So we can have one which is home. I'm going to duplicate, and the way I'm going to duplicate it is using Shift and Alt, then your down arrow key. I'll duplicate it a couple of times, so 5 times. For home we have len. Beauty. We have store. So all in our nav element, we have our attribute element in our nav element. So we haven't linked it yet. We're just going to do that now. So in linking it, like I told you guys, we're using the attribute called href, in other words known as hypertext reference, to specify where we want to navigate our page to when it's being clicked on. I have 3 files here, but I'm currently on 1, so I will just link 2, which are the other ones. So we're currently on elements.html. We're going to navigate to home.html from the home anchor tag, and we're going to navigate to index.html from the len anchor tag. So just like I said before, you can just type it. It's not much, but if it's much, you can just copy and paste. So we're just going to write home.html, the same thing we wrote on the file, and for the len, we're going to type index.html. Let's go to our browser. Clicking on home, it's just going to take us to a blank page which says home.html. As you can see on my search bar, it's currently on home.html, and I'm just going to go back to the page, click on len 2, then I'm going to navigate to index.html. So, and this is what I had there. I wrote a code there. So that's basically it. That's what your anchor tag or your anchor element does. Let's talk about something a little bit more interesting, and this is the option tag. And the option tag I used, just like the name implies, I used to select options and also select, or we're already making some rhyme, so let's see how it's going to be used. Sure. But first going to have an a tag named select, and select has an attribute of name and an attribute of ID, just like I told you guys about attributes previously. And an example of an attribute is our href or hypertext reference. So the name is used to store whatever the value is in your backend. That's what it's used to do. In the course of this page, we'll get there, but for now we're just going to focus on HTML elements. So I'm going to give the name anything actually. I'll just say cars, and the ID also cars. I'm going to have an option element in it, and the option will ask for value. The value is also like what you're going to write as the content, just like what I wrote here, the element name, and this is the content. So names of cars, obviously Ford. So I put that in my option. I'm going to duplicate Shift Alt and down arrow key a couple of times. So this value will be Chevron, and this will be Dodge. This will be so we just have different values, and so like I said, it's just to lay down a bunch of options. So let's open it up in our browser. So you have this which says Ford as a default, and when we click down, we could see the list. We could see different list of items. We have Ford, we have Chevron, Dodge, and Aston Martin. So that's basically it. That's the select element. So one of the things that's advisable, because it wasn't looking well, is just to write an option and just say select a car. Value could just be cars actually, or whatever you want it to be. You could even write the same thing. Still advisable to write the same thing though. So that's going to be the first thing you're going to see whenever it's just going to prompt you select a car. You know that, oh, in this drop down I'm going to see cars. So if I click on Ford, you can select, it's going to select whatever I picked on. So also we have what we call the label element, and the label element is used to link input, is used to link select fields. It's basically used to link in a way. So let's just talk about it with the code. So typing the label, it comes with the 4 attributes. The 4 attributes is used to specify what's this for, and the 4 attributes actually goes hand in hand with the ID. So using a label right here is going to, it has an attribute called for, and it requires an ID. So we want to target the select element, which has an ID of cars. We're just going to name the 4 elements what the ID element is named. So I'm just going to name it cars. I'm going to just say, yeah, cars. So let's open up our browser, and we have cars right here. If I click on cars, it's going to hover on the select a car because they are linked together. You will get to understand more when we talk more about it actually. Let's dive into inputs. For our input elements are used to receive inputs from the user. They used to receive inputs from the user, and they are written using an input, just input. And these are examples of elements that I told you guys that doesn't have a closing tag, and this is called empty elements. Our input has an attribute of type, and this type is set to text. What this says is that what is expecting is a text. Our type determines what can go into the input box. So having an input type of text, let's open up our browser. We could see an input field here, an input field added to it. Now I can type in any text with numbers. So that's basically what it does. Gives us more like a space whereby we can input whatever we want to input there. So we also have another input with the type of password. We have input with the type of even color. This is also giving us the name and ID attribute. We have input with the type button. We have input with the type reset. So that's for now. There are a lot of input elements, and I want you guys to do your research on it. So for now, let's talk about this. We've written about 5 input fields. So the first one is an input type of text, which accepts text. You can just accept a name or a random text. Then we have another type of password, and this helps us to structure things in the sense whereby if I want to write my password is not meant to be opened up to people except if I want to. So adding that interactivity comes from JavaScript, but for the basics, this is just going to hide my password. So anything I write will just be in a bullet point. So we have our input type of color, which is the next. If I click on it, it's just going to give me different colors, and I could select any color that I want to pick from. So you could give your user a color palette to choose any color of their choice. So this is an input type of button, and it's asking for a value. So giving it a value, I might just say submit. So the value comes in, and if I click on it, actually it's not going to do anything right now because it's not yet interactive. So making input field interactive, it's going to introduce us to an element called form elements. And it's just written by writing form. could see, it also comes with an attribute. Understanding attribute is crucial, very crucial. This action attribute is used to specify what we want to happen whenever a form is being submitted. The action attribute usually works with backend, so this is to get the information that user has typed in, take it to the database or store it in wherever you want to put it. So adding our form, we just want to also give an input type of submit, so we can be able to submit the elements. Yeah, the value just be send. I'm going to remove this here. That's commenting. So what I just did right here is commenting, and in order to commenting means, in the broader sense of commenting is used to give more details about what you're writing. In the course of teaching you guys, I wrote some few texts that were just like white line. They were not, this form element right here is not an element, it's just a text. So, and it's just to tell you guys that, oh, this is about form, and I'm just going to comment on it. To comment on it, the shortest way to do that is your control and your /, control /. So I just commented on this text. So if someone else is coming to read it, even though you don't know what it means, you're going to see something like this that doesn't run, but you could be able to read it and know that, oh, this is a form element. I wrote some of those at the beginning too, so let's comment on them. These two header elements, I'm just going to comment control and /. So yeah, let's continue. We added interactivity using the form element. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, so what we're just going to do is see how it's going to be interactive. The form element enables us to make the input react in a way. So this was for text, and I'm just going to write a name, and this was for password. I'll write anything in my password, and just choose any random color, click on send. When I click on send, it just refreshes my browser. Why is that? Because the form is meant to add interactivity and take whatever I've written to a specific place. So one of the ways to get input in it's kind of a baby step, but I'll be glad to take that step with you guys for now. I know you guys will be eager to go to the mastery, but let's take baby steps. So we're just going to give our text a name attribute, and the name equals to just username. So also give this a name attribute, which is password. Let's head over to our browser and write what we wrote. This is Ray, password, and specific color. I'm just going to send. So now, looking at my search bar, we could see what I typed. Username equals to Ray, and password is equals to, this is what I typed. I just typed something random. So this can show what the user actually wrote. So this trying to tell you that it's going to take it to somewhere. And I told you guys too about name attributes, that name attribute is used to specify, it's used to give it a name in order to store it with. You could see that right here I gave it the name of username, and it's in my search bar. You could see after the question mark is having a username which is the name attribute, equals to what I wrote in the name attribute, and password is equals to what I wrote in the password input field. So we have another button, or I would say an input field too. It can be a button too. So I'll have another input field which is called reset, and this is just used to maybe reset everything you've written. So I'm just going to write random things right here, and I'll select, and if I click on reset, it's just going to refresh everything without necessarily storing anything. So it never stored what I wrote. This was what I wrote previously, and if you see, I'm going to write something different. So I just want you guys to take note of it. Write something entirely different, and I click on reset. It's not sending anything, it's just going to wipe it out. We've talked about this previously. I don't want to go back to it, but I'm trying to teach you guys best use case on the web. So usually an input field is used with the label element, just like for the selects that we did. So we're just going to write a label element, and it takes in an attribute of 4. I explained this previously. I want you guys to have a better understanding of it, so let's do this again. So when a label comes with a 4 attribute, is expecting it to be linked with an ID attribute. So we're just going to give our input type of text an ID attribute. Let's name it whatever. Let's name it username. Therefore, we have to name our 4 attributes the same thing. So I'm just going to give username 2. I'm just going to say what's your username. Yeah, so that was the prompt. I'm asking the user, what's your username. If I should click on what's your username, it automatically focus on my input field. So this just helps the user. This helps in accessibility on the web page, and it also helps for screen readers. Screen readers are people who they can't see visually, but they depend on assistive technologies to view the web page or to view websites. So it's just going to read it to them. So it helps in terms of accessibility on your web page. So I'm growing this channel together with you guys, especially growing this page together with you guys. You could see this on TikTok or YouTube. So if you're interested in following on this journey, and especially if you're a beginner in web development, I would like you to drop a comment, like this video. I think those are the main things for me. Following the video is voluntarily. If you feel like you want to be seeing this more often, you can follow, and I'll be dropping a lot of tutorials. And also, I want you guys to comment, comment what was actually confusing. If you understood what you want to learn, I'm here for you guys. I'll actually be seeing you guys comment, and it will keep me going. See you guys in the next class. Bye.